Welcome, everybody, to the Bare Knuckle Podcast. As always, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to check us out. As always, I am joined by the man Dave Cook of the What's Cookin' supplement series. Conspicuous by his absence, Robert Samborski. If you're following him on Instagram, he's in Thailand this week with his wife doing some training and just having some good old bonding time. And of course, I'm Sean, the conductor, the driver of this crazy train. Dave, who's our guest of honor today?
Today is Jon Klipstein. He is a husband, he is a father, and he is the CEO of UXO Supplements. And I think
Yeah.
it's very important to note that Jon is also a veteran who has served this country of ours. Thank you so much for your service, Jon. And I think that that's a key thing to point out here because as we're going to talk about Jon's brand a little bit today, I think that's a very key point and something that I want to highlight as he kind of elaborates on what he's doing there with the brand.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
good being on the podcast, guys. Thanks for having me.
So,
Absolutely.
John, for people that aren't familiar, give us a quick overview of the brand. Give us a quick overview of yourself.
Yeah. So myself, like Dave hit it right on the head, right? So just a husband, father, vet. So combat vet. I did a couple tours to Afghanistan. And that really, it was my military experience. I grew up a lot in the military. I didn't join until I was late in age. Like I was 30 years old when I joined. Right. I
Wow.
was out there with these young bucks. And I think it's because of like my age and my maturity and stuff like that. I fast tracked through the ranks. So I made it to sergeant within 2 years. And within 4, I was a squad leader. And I probably had a bright future in the military, but it wears your body down quick, especially at that age. Right. So
Yeah.
when you're in Afghanistan, you're rucking up and down mountains. You've got anywhere upwards of like 60 pounds on your pack. And, it just wears you down. So after about 6.5 years, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I got out. But that really kind of mentally fucks with you. Right. Like when you've been put on that uniform, like I joined the military, I lost my job during the housing collapse. This is going
Oh, wow.
in 2008, right? 2008-ish, 9-ish. I lost my job and the economy was in a real bad shape. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I felt like I needed to do something important with my life because I was selling electronics. I was, working for companies like Best Buy and stuff. I was a manager with them, but I didn't feel like I was doing anything of value with my life.
Yep.
And I was like, I could go become a cop. I could go join the military. And I just looked into it. Military had a bunch of benefits. And since we were at wartime, they were offering, hey, we'll give you a signing bonus and hey, we'll pay for your college. And I was like, that's pretty legit. So I went and did that. But after doing it for 6.5 years, that day you take off your uniform and it's like, what's my purpose anymore? Like, what am I doing? And I got out and I did get my degree while I was in, like I worked my ass off. I got my degree. So I got out and I got a corporate job, but it wasn't something I was like, same thing. It's like, what am I doing with my life in this corporate job? I'm just feeding the man, making him more money. And I hated my job. Every day I woke up, I went to work. And that kind of fueled UXO's mission with UXO supplements. And when you hear like, it's not UXO, dude, it drives me absolutely nuts. People be like, oh, UXO supplements. It's now a UXO. So it stands for unexploded ordnance, which is a military term. And most of our product lineup are inspired from military themes. But the military really did push the mission of UXO forward. So the first day I went to the recruiter's office, right? I went down there. I was like, hey, I want to join the military. I want to go fight bad guys. They were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. They're recruiters. They're like, we love guys like you. And they're like, well, why don't you come down? And back then I was smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day and I was drinking beer every night. And I remember dude, I barely did 20 push-ups. And then they put me out on this 2-mile run that you have to complete. 2 miles took me 26 minutes and I threw up 3 times. I was like, holy shit, I'm out of shape. So I got in shape quick though. Before when I made it to basic, I was running like a 6.5 minute mile. And my 2 miles was like 14.5, like nothing super crazy, but I could pass my PT test. And that's the first time I really got into fitness was actually when I joined the military, because you have to be in physical shape. So it's like I was in the gym every day and knew I was going to be going to combat. So it's like, I got to get prepared for this. And they beat the hell out of you too. They had us running 6 miles every morning, which was nuts leading up to it. And I fell in love with like the passion of fitness through the military. And there's so many other things that happens in the military. So like I said, when I got out, it's like, what's my mission? What do I do going forward? Like, how do I continue to have value or purpose in my life?
Yeah.
And when you're in the military, you see a lot. And, you know, I had PTSD, I had anxiety from my 2 deployments, and the VA is quick to throw medication at you to try and fix everything. And most of it made me even more of a wreck.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's just getting in the, even today is rest day. I'm going to go into the gym after this and just walk on the treadmill, release some endorphins, just feel good. So I wanted to encourage others to find that same sanctuary in fitness. And so we came up with UXO supplements. And because back then it was like you had, we've been at this for a bit since 2014, but we didn't start.
Long? Okay.
Yeah. 2014, the end of 2014 is when we first launched. But like I said, I was working a corporate job, so it was more of a side hustle. And I think that's when me and you, Sean, first talked was way back then, because it was something I was doing on the side. I think the first time we spoke on your talk radio, I did that in a conference room at my work. I like, you guys have to break away, and went in the conference room and did that call with you, because I was working like 55 hours a week there. And then I was only dedicating like a couple hours a week to the UXO.
Yeah. Because back then, I'm sorry, you had, I remember you had a pre and an intro or BCAA, and that was it.
Yeah, BCAA probably. I think we had a protein, like 2 flavors of protein, and they were garbage, but
okay.
Yeah. So now it's like that's our goal, is to help other people who have stresses, anxieties, not just necessarily soldiers, but find their sanctuary in therapy. And then also, while I was in, like, the veteran suicide thing has become an epidemic. While I was in, we had 4 buddies that committed suicide while I was in. And after I've gotten out, I've had several more that have taken their own life. It's just they can't deal with their own demons. And so that's always been like really pulled at my heartstrings. Like, you know, the government should be doing more. I don't know what that is. I don't have the answer. But there's organizations out there like Mission 22 to help fight veteran suicide. And so we always do programs with like Mission 22, and we donate a portion of all of our profits to them to help fight the veteran suicide thing. So we just try and support nonprofit veteran organizations as much as we possibly can. Like, we have a couple events here soon.
Not to get too far down the negative path, but do you feel with the suicides, is it PTSD, or is it now they're their own person now? They don't have the camaraderie. They don't have the, what's what I'm looking for? Not the culture, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all the above, right? So that you think about it, you've got, I feel like some, and everybody's experience is different. Some have severe PTSD. They've experienced some horrible trauma, and they probably have a hard time dealing with that. I feel that some guys, and like for me, I'm in a fortunate situation. Like, I went into the military, but I had a great support system, and I still do. You know, I have a loving wife, I have kids. So it's like you take me out of that stressful environment where there's a lot going on, and I come home, I have this huge support system here for me.
Yeah.
And some of these guys weren't as lucky. They joined the military to escape a bad situation, right? So when they go in, they jump headfirst into this real dark trauma. And when they get out, what do they have to go back to? Right? They don't have a strong support system. I feel that's part of it for some of these guys. And then again, it goes back to the VA trying to throw meds at everybody. I've watched so many guys, they turn to alcohol, they turn to, even I did when I was back in the military. Like, that's how I coped. On the weekends, we would just buy bottles of liquor, and we'd finish bottle after bottle. And see a lot of guys go down that rabbit hole where they get into alcoholism, get into substance abuse. Yeah.
So at what point were you able to now leave corporate America? And I'm assuming now this is your full-time job running the company, right?
Yeah. So we built the company up. It was mid-COVID where I was like, I'm done. I just got to a point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. And we built UXO up enough to where it could barely provide enough to cover my living expenses,
Yeah.
But I was like, now or never. So I got rid of all my toys. Like, that's the thing, when you have a real nice cush job in corporate America and you're making money, you tend to go buy more toys. So I went and bought a skateboard, boat,
Yeah.
and I bought a motorcycle. I bought all these extra toys. Like, I'm gonna enjoy life. But I realized like I was just pigeonholing myself. I was getting stuck in this look I didn't want to be in. So yeah, I sold all my toys and turned in my notice and just went all in on UXO.
That's awesome, John. I mean, I
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, I'm sorry. You had mentioned earlier, 2014 or so was the start of your company. And I still
Mhm.
feel that even over that amount of time period, you guys are still an under the radar brand, but,
Oh
one
yeah.
that people, I think, absolutely need to be aware of. And I think when you look at your product catalog and you look at the ingredients and the detail that you put into fully disclosed labels, these formulas that you put together, I think it's super impressive. And again, that's what, your personality, the way that's unfolded into the brand. That's what really turned me on to you. And, you're such an approachable person. You're interactive with your community. You're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're always out there talking with people, answering questions, doing the whole thing. So, kudos to you on that, because I think it's really great. And I really like the direction that you guys are heading.
Oh, thank you,
Um,
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's been a long road so far, and I know that you've got a lot more in the pipeline still. Because again, I follow what you're doing. You hint at it, and we'll touch on that in a little bit here. But so far, so good. And I think I just want to give you the praise and credit that I think that you really do so far. So great job.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that you are? Because looking at your TikTok, I got off for a while and then get back on again recently. That you
Yeah.
are you surprised with your success on TikTok? Because you got a ton of followers, and because I think you even said that you more successful on TikTok than on Instagram, or if I remember that wrong.
Yeah, no, that's right. TikTok, I'm not sure what's going on over there, but yeah, it's pretty crazy because like I feel like TikTok has changed a little bit. It used to reward like value added content. Like if you were providing value, um, you would just get a lot of views, you get a lot of follows. And so yeah, I was making videos and they were all educational, much like what you do with your product breakdowns, and you talk about the ingredients. And I would do just ingredient exposés to just like, here's how this ingredient works, here's what you should look for. And it's like boom, we had several videos that blew up, and like I just started catching all this traffic, all these
Yeah.
followers, and oh, this is cool. But now it's like my content hasn't changed, but yeah, I'm not getting followers. I'm not getting the views we used to. It used to be every video I posted would get 20,000 views. Now it's like I feel lucky if I get 1,000 views. I know Conlon talked about this too, because he's got like 500,000 followers for V1
Yeah,
Ultra.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like 500,000 followers on TikTok now, and yeah, he struggles to get views too. So I just feel like I don't know if it's something with their algorithm or it's just maybe the content I'm making. Times have changed with like it's not coming across as engaging, or maybe it's just becoming too saturated. Maybe there's a lot more people out there talking about supplements now on the TikTok shop, like we're inspired by Conlon, that we're inspired by the guys over at Echo Vision, what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I feel like I just need to reevaluate my content and see how we can make it more engaging or something.
Yeah.
I think all the
John,
platforms that do. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
oh, go ahead, Sean. Please go ahead.
I feel all the platforms are like that. Like YouTube, I start going down the rabbit hole, start learning a little bit, and then one's like, yeah, no, throw that out because there's a new algorithm, there's a new this, there's a new that,
Yeah.
and it's like you go down the rabbit hole, do you better yourself, or just stay to your guns and just try to keep it as is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult, but yeah, I don't see near the views we used to get. So yeah.
The views aside, do you see TikTok Shop as another potential avenue for you guys? I mean, I know that you're on there now, and it seems to be that a lot of people that are speaking about it seem to think that it's this like I heard somebody talk about it yesterday, like a land grab, and it's just an open opportunity for you to get on there and really push things. And I wanted to kind of get your view on it, how you look at it right now.
At first, I was super excited about it. Now, less so.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, yeah, when I first figured out TikTok Shop, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And we got all of our products on there. Like, I think we were actually probably one of the first people to figure it out. Like when it first launched, Echo Vision didn't know about it, and now they're dominating that space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we figured out this TikTok Shop thing, and I was like, holy crap. And I threw a bunch of products on there. And we were getting sale after sale after sale after sale, because I think we were like the only supplement company on there. Like nobody else had figured it out. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep this a secret. And I went on live, and I don't want. So I went on live and I was doing a video and it was like sell, 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 sell. And then all of a sudden I got banned in the middle of the live stream. It's like you
Interesting.
did something. It said I body shamed or something. And I got banned. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And like TikTok would not let me back in. And I was off of TikTok. I was banned from it for like a month and a half. I could not get back on the
Wow.
platform.
Wow. Okay.
And I had to have others since I couldn't. There's no one you can talk to at TikTok. So normally that's a death sentence to your account when you get banned. But I had other people submitting reports for me from their TikTok, like, hey, this guy's got banned. So finally, TikTok, someone looked at it, reviewed it, and let me back in. And I got back in.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, Echo Vision, all these other guys are in the TikTok shop and they're exploding. They're doing good things. But I don't know. Someone reported me on one of my lives, and we lost our steam on TikTok shop after that. But my concern with the TikTok shop thing is, I don't know if you guys saw, but they forced the sale of the company, right?
They have 1 year, I think.
Yeah, 1 year, and basically said you have to sell it to an American company, or else it'll be banned in the U.S.
Yeah.
And Data or Dance Byte, the parent company of TikTok, said, we'll just shut it down. We'd shut it down rather than selling it to an American company. So,
Oh, I didn't see that. Wow.
yeah, they said like 3 days ago they came out and said it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with TikTok in the TikTok shop. I feel that it will hurt the economy. There's so many small businesses on there right now that are using it as the next Amazon, the next platform. So it's gonna affect people. But then where do people go? Amazon? I don't know if you guys have heard about all this stuff going on with Amazon, but I'm
With the
very
testing?
frustrated with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just had a friend DM me because I said, look, he's been on there for years, and he said he's got to pay 20 grand to have 8 products tested. And he's a
So
small shop like you.
right. And I was like, there's no way. It's super frustrating because so you've always had to be tested to be on Amazon. And so we would go through, if you sell pre-workouts, dietary supplements, fat loss products, you've had to have them tested. You have to provide a certificate of analysis and third-party testing to show it's banned substance free. So
Yep.
we'd do that. We'd go through like ABC testing, or there was another lab we would use up in Montana, drawing a blank on them. But and it's still expensive. It was like $1,200 per flavor. $1,200 per flavor, and that's for a certificate of analysis, banned substance testing. We'd submit it over to Amazon. They would review it. They give you the green light. You're good to go. It's like, sweet, we're on the website. So $1,200 per product, like that's a hit especially when you're only ordering 1,000 units. Like that raises my cost of goods up.
Sure.
So yeah, we just got hit with the Amazon. We're in wave 1 because they're hitting everybody in waves.
Yeah.
Wave 1, we have till July 12th to provide them with the testing, but you have to go through Amazon now. They don't let you go out and secure your own third-party testing lab. You have
Yeah.
to connect the middleman. They say, all right, you submit your, I forget, it's like called a TRS. They get in touch with the lab, then they coordinate everything. So you have to do everything through Amazon. I can't reach out to Eurofins, who's one of the labs that they use, and be like, all right, let's talk through this. Amazon does it all. And the quote they sent back was like $4,200 per flavor.
Jesus.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like you're almost profitable. I'm sure at that point your profits are like margin, where it's more of like people I talk to, they're not making any money on Amazon. It's more just from marketing and just name recognition.
Yeah. Yeah. So we won't. I'm pulling off Amazon. I'm not going to. And I'm boycotting them. It sucks because everybody's on Amazon, so it's like you kind of have to, but at the same time frame, it's like we as a small business, like you said, we can't afford to.
Yeah, but I wonder if they're just so big that it's like, okay, John, we're losing you, but we got 15 other people right behind you, in queue that'll pick up your spot.
And that's it's interesting because talking with Ben over at Price Plow, he's even stated like they haven't come out and said if they're going to make all supplement companies test. Like I don't know how this doesn't open them up for legal issues, right?
Yeah.
So like say, hey, we have to test, but does that mean they're going to go over to Gorilla Mode, who's their number one seller on Amazon, and these guys are pushing millions of dollars a month? Or are they going to be like, well, you don't have to, you're okay? Or are they going to force them to? Seems like that's pretty legal. I don't know. I'm no lawyer, but
It's like a mutual friend Spencer was on another podcast. He said, look, I appreciate the idea, but the execution is not right.
Right. No, and I was excited when they came out and said that they were going to force this testing. I was like, sweet, like this does help clean up some of the bad actors in the industry, like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
creatine bites and shit like that. Like this is good.
Yeah.
But then if you're going to use this as a stance to gouge, it's like, no, that's not right. Like that's what it feels like. I could be wrong, but it's like, how do I go from doing these exact same tests, paying $1,200 to now I'm paying, $4,200,
Right.
$4,400. And here's the crazy thing. I even went back to Amazon. I was like, well, fine. You know what? Forget it. I'll just do informed choice, right? Testing. That way I get
Mhm.
the bad, which is an additional selling point for me. I said, no, we won't accept it. It has to be one of these 3 labs right here. And
Interesting.
$4,200 was the smallest quote I got. Like it went up
Wow.
from there.
How bad would it be though, John? Like just food for thought for just supplement people in general. Let's say you have a pre-workout, let's say 4 flavors. You list one flavor on Amazon and you almost say, look, we have other flavors, come to our website, or is that kind of violating something?
Yeah, they won't let you do stuff like that on Amazon, like directing people to other locations. Like they have very stringent rules. Like even if
Yeah.
if you were to put an insert in your package that basically recommended people come to your website for a free gift in exchange for like a review, something like that, like Amazon tracks that, and you can get
Yeah.
kicked off Amazon for doing product inserts like that. And
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so Amazon's very picky. Like, dude, they don't even give you your customers' information. If someone were to make a purchase from you and you
Yeah.
need to contact them because like their shipment got damaged or something, or you ran out because the inventory doesn't sync, they give you a phone number you have to call, which contacts Amazon. Then Amazon relays a message to the customer. So like they don't even give you info on your customers to where you can reach out to them because they're Amazon's customers, not yours.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost like a data company versus a commodity or consumer, not consumer, but product company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So with the money that you're not investing into Amazon, I know that you're investing that back into UXO supplements. Can there any
Yeah.
teasers maybe that you can give the audience here about what you guys have coming up this year?
We've got a lot. And like right now, it's kind of crazy. We're this month has been the worst month ever. And so like we're gonna be doing a lot more content around the rebrand. I feel like the rebrand has caused a little bit of an uproar probably with our core customers because it's a violent switch, right? Like we
Mhm.
went from a very minimalist label, black and very gold, to I went and hired Glaxon's artist. And I was like, this is what I want because this is more me, right? Like you look at
Yeah.
supplement companies like We Go Home Sups.
yep.
Is that what they are? We Go Home.
Yeah, we
Okay.
go
Yes.
home. Yeah.
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 Okay. And I appreciate those guys. I like them, Trung, and then he also brought in Ronin Tactics to tag team his Double Dragon pre-workout.
Mhm.
And their branding is super military. Like but
Right.
that's those guys. Like you look at Trung, you look at his
Hit
Instagram.
back.
He's on the range all the time. They're always out there shooting guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, with us being a veteran-owned company, if I went that way, I feel like I'd be a fraud because, like, that's not me. Like, I did my time. I have my purpose behind this. I'm never out in the range. So if I went super huo with our marketing and like everything camo, which mind you, I've had multiple designers come in, like, here's how we're going to do this label and we're going to have camo this and camo. Like, no, I don't want that. Right. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my history. The future is like, we want the veteran owned to be a cherry on top. Like we want
Mhm.
the respect in the industry first for the products, the ingredients, the flavoring. And then when people are like, oh shit, this is veteran owned too, that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
don't lead with that. I feel like I'd be doing a disservice and almost pulling on the heartstrings of people. Like you need to buy our products because we're veteran owned. Like now I want that to be an afterthought.
Mhm.
Love that.
Now all of our new labels that are coming out are real bright and flashy, and I'm already redoing the Send It ones. I'll be honest with you, like House of Greatness did those, and they did good, but I never loved them.
Mhm.
Um, I remember, and I feel bad because Brian Eichelina, he would have these calls with me. He's like, dude, I'm having a hard time reading you. Like, what are your thoughts? And I was like, I hate them. But I put them out on social media and people were like, oh, those are badass. And I was like, well, I hired these guys for a reason. I just need to trust them. Like, let's just launch it. People seem to like them. I should have trusted my gut instinct. And it has nothing to do with House of Greatness does great work.
Yeah.
And they killed that label. It's not what I envisioned, but I couldn't give them direction on like, Here's how I want you
Yeah.
to change
Yeah.
it. When we hired Robert from Glaxon, that's where it really took out, because Robert has this real artistic feel and look, and it's like, yes, this is what I want. Like, I want the bright, I want the graffiti type, I want it like in your face,
Yeah.
but still have that military-esque like overtone to it with the names of the products. So you're seeing all of our products and it's been a long process, and it's cost us like $40,000 in total to have all these labels redesigned and reprinted. But Robert's doing amazing. So you're going to slowly see, like this week, we have 2 new products coming in with the new branding, and slowly they're getting changed over. So I just can't wait for the day to where we have a clean palette and everything's fresh.
Yeah.
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 But I feel like it has been jarring for some of our people, because they see these and it's like, whoa, like we went from a minimalist label, just black and gold, to now it's like in your face, but it jumps off the shelf more, it helps us like
Yeah.
on the shelves. It helps us. For me, it feels more natural to me. Like this is or who I am, like where I want us to go, brighter, be colorful, be like boisterous, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we've got going on. We've got the proteins coming. And
talk about that for a minute, John. I'm sorry. Talk about that, because on your TikTok, you said it was, I don't know if you said it was difficult because the label or the production, there was something difficult about it, you mentioned.
No, it's just been a lengthy process.
Okay.
But I think we kind of knew it was. So they're actually showing up a couple weeks earlier than like I kind of threw out. Right. So what we've done is we've had our main 2 lab manufacturers that we've used, and they make all of our products, but both have struggled with protein. Like we've struggled to get a good quality. Like last year for Christmas, we dropped Jingle Juice, which was a limited time edition. It was a limited edition holiday flavor, and Jingle Juice, it crushed. People are mad that we're out of stock. And I was like, it was a limited drop, like bring Jingle Juice back. But we also wanted to launch a gingerbread and a peppermint mocha, and we just couldn't get the flavors dialed in. They were just horrible. And so we went out and contracted Simpson Labs to specifically take over our protein, and they crushed it. Like the samples, they like, oh my God, they were all amazing. So it went through a couple rounds of just dialing in the flavors to where we got them where we wanted. But then going through Simpson Labs, they, it's like now we send them the labels that we used to use, and all these things had to be changed. So it's whenever you first launch a new product, label's going to be a disaster. Like when you go and relaunch this, it's going to be so much easier because nothing changes on the label. You just submit the label again, they get it printed. But this back and forth, they were kicking stuff back and forth. So like our old label, we used to outline like exactly how many amino acids were in the label to try and be as transparent as possible. With these new proteins, since there's inclusions, like our Rocky Road now has like little marshmallow bits, the birthday cake has birthday sprinkles in it. Like the panel changes on every single one significantly, and so it was going back. Finally, I was like, all right, we have to crush the essential amino acid profile panel because it's killing it. It's taking us to get them all dialed in.
So what does the protein consist of? Is it concentrate, blends? What do you have, John?
100% isolate. So right now we have 2 lines. We have the post ISO, and we have the pro refit. And we kept the pro refit around, which was our blend. It was concentrate / isolate, and we did it because it always tasted better. And now with labs, these guys are so good with their flavoring, they can get the isolates to taste, in my opinion, they taste better than our pro refit. So we're killing off that line completely, and we're just going to go 100% isolate.
Love it.
It's going to save us money. We don't have to maintain 2 lines of protein, and we can launch just flavors in the isolate and be good to go.
Love it. That's one thing that you mentioned earlier, you've probably seen over the last 10 years, where when you started, I felt labels it was more on the ingredient panel and less on the labels. And by label, I mean the graphics. Where now you fast forward, now I think it's like equally important to have a banger of a label and a banger of an ingredient panel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I don't know. Like we have, we also have M777 coming.
What is that?
Used a little bit, but that's the most exciting, most excited I've been for a project in a long time. But it's basically a statement pre-workout we're going to be launching here pretty quick.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Yeah. To your point, Sean, about these labels, I mean, that really has grown, I think, tremendously within the last little bit of time here. And,
Yeah.
if you've got just your boring, bland label and somebody else's is super flashy and eye catching,
They're gonna
they're
win.
probably
Yep.
more apt to go to that way. So,
It-
yeah.
and that's what we're going to do more videos on, just explaining why we're doing this rebrand, explain how it doesn't change who we are. But yeah, in every change we've made within the company, it's always been based off of feedback. It's not like I'm just out here throwing fucking spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, because people have told us like your labels suck. We've had people flat out tell us like your labels are plain. They're like, you should do something to spruce them up. Ghost has cool labels. These guys have cool labels. And and it's a pretty expensive investment, especially when we went from something like our old labels were just matte labels. They're just flat. And the
Yeah.
new labels have all these embellishments in it because the technology has just gotten wild out there to where now they can do
Yeah.
matte labels, but they layer it with gloss and they layer it with metallic and they layer it so it has texture to where you can feel the words on the
Mhm.
label. It's like, man, it's like that's cool, but yeah, it also bumps up my cost per label from 30 cents
Sure.
to like $1.40. So it's all an additional cost, but I'm excited to spend the money to create something, truly unique.
What if the generational thing though? Because people don't understand, like you just said, John, your cost goes up a dollar X. And at the end of the day, the consumer cost is now going up X. I'd rather have just pre-workout, white letters, black label, and if I turn it around and everything's great dosage, I could care less. That's me.
Yeah. No, and that's how it should be, but unfortunately, but that's what and like the M777 project we have coming, I'm scared about it. I'm excited but scared. But you look at us, like we look at a label and we get excited about the ingredient panel. It's like, oh shit, I haven't tried that, or man, that's an amazing dose
Yeah.
of this. I wonder how it feels.
Yeah.
But the average consumer, they don't know. They don't know.
Right.
So they're buying whatever their friend tells them to. And dude, it's surprising because I live out here in bucked up country, and bucked
Oh,
up,
jeez.
yeah, they're in Utah, and we
Sorry.
we don't get along. Um, but it's amazing because like I have these ambassadors, and they'll even tell me like I have these ambassadors out there pushing our products, and one of them saw this chick that he knows, and he was like, why are you taking that booked up? He's like, you need to get on UXO. And she's like, was it any different? He was like, yeah, it's way different. And she was like, well, I didn't know. She was like, this is just what I see everybody take. So I thought it's what I'm supposed to buy. And it's
Yeah.
like, but that's the philosophy. They see more people taking it, must be good because I see a lot of people taking it.
But it's that deer antler velvet. That's quality ingredients.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's the thing. And God, so interestingly enough, when I was looking at launching our ambassador program, I went to companies like Bucked Up and Redcon One, and
Yeah.
I filled out their
Mhm.
ambassador application just to see what the process was like.
Yeah.
So I did not with just those two, but several others. And it was crazy because those two guys, I got instant access, had a code instantly. Like there was no background research on me. Like, oh wait,
Mhm.
you own a supplement company? Like it was
Yeah.
just they'll
Yeah.
prove anybody. They'll prove anybody to be in, and that to me is frustrating. Like with our ambassador program, I make every ambassador have a call with me. I need to make sure that they fit the culture, that they understand the mission, the vision of the company. Like I would rather
Yep.
have 10 really engaged ambassadors than 2,000 unengaged that they at that point they're just strength in numbers. Let's see how many people we can add to our program.
That's
Yeah.
a rarity in philosophy, though, because most companies are like, well, listen, if I give it 1,000, everybody brings in $10 a month in sales
Yeah,
versus the quality, like you're saying.
right. So for me,
Wow.
I'd rather have really good people on the team that really do, and also that match the, I guess, look and feel the company. That it's like people that we want representing the company
Yeah.
rather than just
Yeah.
anybody.
Ambassadors aside, how big are you guys? Like from an employee standpoint, are you pretty much running most of the operations, or?
Yeah. So and it's me, and then it was two others, soon to be one other.
Mhm.
So literally, I just have my operations girl, Michaela, and she's awesome. Like she was a diamond in the rough because she does everything. Like I don't have to. She's on top of everything here. Customer service, shipping, like she crushes it. She comes in, works her ass off. And then I had uh, Chandler, who was my full time videographer. right? And he crushes it too. Like if you look at our content, the content that has improved dramatically with what he's filmed and been able to capture, and that's a huge part of the business too, right? The products have to look good. So I was able to get his skill set, but he was just acquired by a new company. In fact, yeah, at the end of the month is his last day with me, which is kudos to him. It's awesome because it's like, that skill set, and there's no way like this company he's going to work for is an armored truck. Like they
Oh, wow.
like military style vehicles and sell them for like $400,000. And they're able to pay him substantially more than I could. So it's, I'm proud of him. But that means there's going to be more work put back on my plate until I can find someone else to step in and pick up the slack.
How old are the kids? You can't put them to work yet?
No, well, they're older, dude. Like that's the crazy thing. Time flies. Like next week, I have to drive and go pick my daughter up from college.
I'm in the same boat in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So my daughter, she's down in Colorado, going to school there, and I have to pick her up for the summer. So they're old enough to work, but they got bigger things on their plates,
They don't want to work with dad. That's what it comes down to.
They want to, probably not. Yeah.
Oh, Jon, talk a minute, because again, I keep referencing your TikTok because I started going through it again. 75 grams of glycerol.
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking? Like you did 75 grams of glycerol, and I know I've seen people 10, 20, but 75.
Yeah. So the whole premise behind that, because I was reading through some studies, and one of them said in order to reach like a point of hyperhydration, it was 1 gram of liquid glycerol per kilogram of body weight. So I started doing the math in my head. That's 100 grams, right? If I'm a 220-pound dude, I was like, that's 100 grams. And I was like, well, let's give this a shot. Let's see how it was. So yeah, we each took three shots, and I'll tell you what, it hurt. Like right here, it just felt like it was stuck, and it was just like, and massive heartburn. And I was like, this is not good. But you got like one set in, the exercise, like, oh man, I feel good. Like the pump was nasty.
Yeah.
Like we haven't did you watch the full video, or did you just watch the short one? Because we posted the
short one. The short one. Yeah.
Full video on YouTube. The guy was working out with Garrett. He's a professional bodybuilder, but he's huge. And you should have seen, like, his shoulders were so pumped up. And even he said, he's like, this is the gnarliest pump I've ever experienced. But your endurance felt really good. Like, it actually felt great. It was just like the first 30 minutes of it was not pleasant at all. Felt like I wanted to throw up, but it was probably one of the best workouts I've had in a long time.
That's one of the things I laugh at, because like all these companies, they actually they're all, but a lot of companies, we've got glycerol, 1,000 milligrams, monostearate. I'm like, you get poor forms and lower dosages, because everything I'm reading now, not as severe as yours, but I'm seeing ones at 10 grams, 20 gram servings.
Yeah, they're talking about for like pump. I think even what Mike Roberto put out in the Price Plow, and I don't know what research he was quoting, but says in order to get like a decent pump, like you should be taking minimum 6, and then you get up to 20 grams, and that's where you get like the real good hydration benefits from it. But 75 was insane.
Was that a one-shot deal? Safe to assume one-shot deal?
Oh yeah, and it's not sustainable. I mean, God, because you think about what Gorilla Mode's liquid glycerol is like $40. I think it's $40 for all three. So, like at that point, you're spending like $140 a month to have that much liquid glycerol a day. Not sustainable, but it's cool to try. I'd recommend, someone give this a shot sometime. But the heartburn is unbelievable for the first 30 minutes. It just was not pleasant.
There you go, Dave. You got some content.
Yeah. So Jon, on your TikTok page, you're also doing a lot of different reviews for brands that are not UXO supplements. How did you get into doing that as well?
So a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people know this, but so Imtiaz Udin, who owns Echo Vision, and they've been crushing it. Like, it's amazing seeing his growth. But he used to be an ambassador for UXO.
So interesting.
He was one of my ambassadors, and the dude crushed it. And he was just on TikTok, and he would do these stupid little videos where he was trying to send it, and he was like, this is the best flavor. And it snowballed out of control. We had like Rise coming after us and stuff, because the thing with M is he's built such this like cult like following on TikTok.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
people love him. And so all these people were buying UXO supplements, and then they were going and shitting on Rise's post talking about how Rise sucked and UXO was the best. And it was like, yeah, it turned into this whole thing. And like I even had chats with like Nick Stella. I was like, look, dude, like it's not my doing. And I even made videos where I was like, I don't think there's one pre that's better than the other. There's just pre's that are better for people's lifestyle needs, right? So
Yeah.
I tell people like quit going and shitting on other people's pre's. But anyway, so M left and went to EchoVision. I helped him start it. Like we got him in touch with labs. We had products made. He launched and he was super successful. I was like, that was awesome. I you know, applauded him with that. And I was like, M, you know, I helped you with your supplement company. Help me with TikTok. Like, help me figure this out. And he did. And he was like, you need to start doing reviews. Like, start doing reviews on products. And so it spawned from him. And I started doing reviews. And next thing I know, people are sending me products to break down and do reviews on.
Crazy.
And it just,
are they knowing? Are people sending you? Are they knowing that you own your own brand?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
like, who is it? And I always tell them, I was like, look, like if you're, because people, who was it? Centurion Labs, they sent me a bunch of their products to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that were probably the most scared too. Like I have emails between me and them, and they're like, well, we want to send you a brand, but they're like, but you own your own company. And they're like, you know, what's the content going to look like? Like they were afraid I was going to bash it or something like that. And I told them, I was like, I'm not out here to bash anybody's product. Like if I take it and I absolutely hate it, I'm probably just not going to make a video on it. I was like, but if you send it to me and it's good, then, you know, I'll break it down. And their pump capsule was actually super good. Like I was like, oh, this is legit, because it's the first one I've ever seen. It's a pump and focus in a pump cap.
Yeah.
So it has like alpha GPC and DMAE in it and nitrosogene. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So, you know, and then they thanked me for the video. So yeah, sometimes they're skeptical, but for the most point, yeah, people are sending me product just like, hey, please do a video on this. And like I said,
I've got to imagine. No, please go ahead, John.
I said I tried not to bash on it, and I tried, but I also tried to be as fair as possible. So like First Blood, for example, that the collab between Panda Sups and America Lab, I not a pre-workout for me. It was just too high stim. And so I tried to, without bashing their product, like, look, like it's not the formula for me. I don't like it. I was like, you high stim people will love it. So I try and be subjective that way too. Like a pre-workout was made for a demographic. It's not me.
Yeah. I've got to imagine that you trying out a bunch of different products like that too gets your creative juices flowing at some point where you're thinking this might be the next thing to look into for my brand and what not to you know, what to avoid, things like that. So I can imagine that that's got some ramifications down the road for what UXO's got in the pipeline. It
does. And so, yeah, I got to give a shout out to Gorilla Mode. So they sent me their new, I think you can see it right there. They sent me their new pre-workout, the reformulated one, and I got it. And I took it, and it tastes a lot better than their old one, and it's not quite as chalky. But by looking at the formula, I was like, man, like no offense, I'm not saying, I just I was like, man, I feel like I could have made this better. And so that's what inspired the launch of M777 that we have coming. It's a massive dose pre-workout. There's nothing else out there like it. And the lab has tried to talk me out of producing this thing now multiple times. They've said, don't do this. Like, you're not going to make any money on it. I was like, I don't want to. It's not the point. The point, it's more of a flex. I want to bring this product to market and be like, we made that, you know?
That's not the industry's changed a lot too, that I've seen that companies, there was not as much camaraderie. Like you would never see 10 years ago, a brand owner complimenting, doing reviews of another product. It's either they bash it, not even knowing anything, just to put eyes on their product, or just not even do it. But there's people like you, there's Conlon, there's Sammy. There's so many like people now that, like, at first you think there's some kind of motive behind it, but when you watch, you guys are legit. Like, you know, people would be afraid, obviously, to review a product and steer people away from your brand.
Yeah, and well, so that's what M's been telling me now, but and I'm trying to find a happy balance, because like me and M still stay in touch, and he was like, look, dude, you need to stop reviewing. So the feedback he gave me in the beginning to grow the channel, he's now saying stop. He's like, you want to grow your business? He's like, you need to focus on UXO, just show them behind the scenes, do this, do that. And I did for a minute. I pulled away and I told people, I was like, hey, I'm stopping reviews. And that was based off of M's feedback. But dude, I got a lot of backlash from people like, what the fuck? Like, no, like I follow you because of the reviews. So it's like, all right, I got to find a happy medium. And so I stopped doing them for like a month and a half. And then I got back into it because the feedback was overwhelming. People were like, you need to get back and doing reviews. I want you to review this product, you know? So we got to find a balance, but I feel like there's enough business out there for everyone to succeed, right? I don't have to go out there and shit on a product. If something's good, like I'm gonna tout it. I try and be transparent that way. Like I'm gonna recognize good. I'm gonna call out bad without bashing. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it.
I guess not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, it's like, okay, so like you said, it's not for me, it's for X demographics, it's just not for me.
Right.
You know, and I think Dave, we bust Dave's chops because there's not enough negative reviews, but that's okay though, because as Dave said, he does his research ahead of time. So he's already almost expecting, I don't speak for you on behalf of you, Dave, but he expects that it's gonna be a good product because he knows his ingredients, he knows the effects, and you know what I mean?
It's like you can almost know beforehand if a product's going to be good or not, right?
Sure.
There's been some that have surprised me, but yeah, I agree with that. The shoot, I forgot where I was going, but
I would say with more of like to add to your point there, Sean, you know, you take these mainstream brands, you know, like you said, you can almost kind of anticipate what the feeling might be like. You get some of these underground guys, God knows what's in there. That's when, you know, some of these guys like TJ used to say labels are just labels. You have no idea what that experience is going to be like until you try it. So,
yeah, you don't know what's in the container.
Right.
John, our mutual friend Spencer reached out and he said, look, have John talk about the 100-mile Ruck challenge.
Yeah. Oh, that was brutal. That sucked. His crazy ass wants to do it again.
But he's not doing a Ruck though. I think he's just doing a run.
What's that?
I don't think I don't think Spencer's doing a Ruck. I think he's doing a run, but I guess you did a Ruck run, 100-mile Ruck run.
Yeah, he did it with me. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that.
So me and Spencer, so there, you know, it's interesting how we go back. We were building daily essentials, and I wanted this amazing multivitamin that had probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes. It's like we need trademarked ingredients. The one I was struggling with was a prebiotic. I wanted a unique prebiotic, and I got partnered up with Spencer over at the time. He was with Compound Solutions, and he was like,
go back then. Okay.
Yeah, he was an intern, I think, back then, and that was the first
Yeah.
job I put on. And so he helped me, and we sourced IXOS. And at the time, we were the first company to ever use IXOS. Now, like Bear Performance Nutrition, there's a couple others that are using it in their products. I think even First Form, but we were the first guys to ever contract it. And me and Spencer were talking. We became kind of friends. And then I did this post because, like I said, we always try and give back to the veteran community as much as possible. We try and do these events. So I came up with this wild idea. I was like, you know what? I'm going to ruck 100 miles and I'm going to raise money for Mission 22. And I did this video on it, and Spencer reached out to me. He's like, hey, are you serious about this? And I was like, yeah, I'm dead serious. He was like, I'll join you. And we actually got Compound Solutions. Like, thank you to them. They covered the flight expenses for Spencer to come out here. They covered his hotel stay, and he did it with me. And we raised like $8,000. Like,
wow.
We raised $8,000. We said, here's what we're doing. Amazing. We brought in the sponsors and we put them on the flag. And Spencer was the only dude. Spencer completed it. I did not. I had to tap out. What sucks about the Ruck 100, like when you go on like military training, even like, and when I was in the military, the longest I went was 25 miles with 35 pounds on my back. Okay. 25 miles. You had 8 hours to complete it, which is brutal in itself.
Yeah.
You go look at like military doctrine and like training programs. The only one I could find that prepped you for the longest ruck march was the best ranger competition, where they basically take the best rangers and they throw them into this competition. You got to do all these courses, and then at the end, the best ranger wins. That dude's like the most elite of the elite. So they had this program in there to set you up to train for that ruck. Well, come to find out, that ruck that they do is only 65 miles long. We were going 100. So I prepped for like 6 months leading up to this thing, but I was going off of the best Ranger competition book.
Yeah.
And doing 100 miles is much, much different. Like, but it was such a good experience. Like I said, we raised a bunch of money, and like we were rucking through a city. We had the flag. There were 3 of us, and people would stop us, and it was kind of crazy. We had people join us, like that weren't a part of it. Like people showed up every day. We went out 3 days in a row, 33 miles, 33 miles, 33 miles. People showed up and jumped in with us and wanted to be a part of it. And people saw us, and it's like while you're walking the phone, because people would donate through Square, and my phone would keep going off. It kept buzzing, boop, 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 boop. And people were just donating. I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. So that would like motivate you even more.
Yeah.
But it was brutal. I made it to, I think it was mile 76. I was done at 50. At 50, I was like, I think I'm done. But I kept pushing. And yeah, I made it to, I believe it was mile 70 something. I'm pretty sure it was 76. And I tapped out. I was like, I can't. My feet were so badly damaged. Like it was bleeding, blisters everywhere. Spencer, if we were to do it again, I'd probably go after more of his training methodology, because he did a lot of running.
What time of year was this, John?
We did it over Memorial Day weekend.
So May, okay.
Perfect timing, yeah. And it was hot out. But it was a good time. But yeah, Spencer was the only one that completed it. He completed it like a beast. But yeah, his feet are so leathered. I don't know if you ever see him, because he does all those crazy. He's done like 100-mile runs. He's done ultra marathons. He's done man's, like his feet are tough. Like that's what stopped me. It wasn't like my legs. I could have probably kept going. My shoulders were sore, but my feet were just so badly damaged. I don't know how David Goggins and guys like Nick Bear do this. It's insane. Because my feet were just bleeding. Like I remember taking my shoes off. I have videos of it too, and pulling the moleskin. It was just blood and pus everywhere. I was like, oh my God. Like I had to walk around in flip-flops for the next like 2 weeks because of how bad my feet were.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought I knew Spencer because I've been friends with him for a while. He's been a multiple-time guest on the show, and I've never met him yet. So we talked about this daily. Yeah. And I knew he did 100-mile last year in the blizzard of Pittsburgh. I didn't realize he's done multiple 100 miles. My God, because he's talking about what to do another one this year. But anyway.
Yeah, he's one of those dudes. He just loves these endurance events, dude. And he tried to break the world record for the most deadlifts performed in. So he's one of those freaks. Just loves that.
He gets upset. He's like, I didn't make it. I only lifted like 400 something thousand pounds. So I'm like, dude, that's like more than the world right now.
Yeah. Nobody else can say that they've done that, you know?
Yeah.
But, well, I guess one of them.
So, John, as you wind down, when you look at the industry now, you've been embedded for 10 years, give or take. When you look at the landscape, are we at a good spot? Are we plateauing a little bit? Like, because one of your videos, I keep referring to your videos. One of your videos, you were like, look, the 4 or 5 ingredients that need to be in every pre-workout. And I feel like everybody's using them. So we're almost plateaued in my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that was an interesting hook. I was trying to figure out some way to basically, because those guys sent me their product too, the Baca Pre, and it's just pretty basic. And so I tried to go around the like, this has the ingredients you should expect in a pre-workout, but that makes it just like a kind of standard base pre-workout. You know, I feel like there's still a lot of innovation out there to be had. My fear with the industry comes from the regulations side of it.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like there's too much coming from the government. And I feel like, this whole thing with Amazon, you understand where this is coming from, right? It's because it feels like the FDA had their S.4090 bill that they pushed out there. Like we want to turn it over to big pharma. We want to shut down all innovation. And I preached a lot about that bill. That bill had me really nervous. I was like, okay, it didn't get approved. It got shut down on the Senate floor. Perfect. But I feel this is the FDA's way to skirt around it then. Like, okay, fine, we didn't win the bill. Rather than policing the industry and going after, these bad actors that are violating policy and stuff and doing whatever the fuck they want. Let's just go police Amazon. Let's just go find the shit on Amazon. Let's force them to police the industry for us. Okay, let's go do it now. They've done it with Shopify. They've attacked Shopify, and a lot of companies are booted off of Shopify for their ability to process payments. Fortunate, we never use Shopify to process our payments. We've always used authorize.net. And then they attack QuickBooks. So now a lot of supplement companies are being kicked off of QuickBooks because it's considered high risk. It's considered pseudo pharmaceutical. It feels like the FDA is attacking because they have their end goal in mind.
Yeah.
And if you think in that bill, they're going to attack different areas to try and shut down smaller supplement companies. That's my fear.
What about the New York thing? And I brought it up in an email I sent. Have you guys been following the whole New York thing now?
I really haven't. I know that so they banned it where they can't buy any dietary supplements under the age of 18, including creatine and like multivitamins, stuff like that now too.
Yeah. Multivitamins, and now I'm hearing like energy drinks.
Yeah.
But it's like you said on the podcast, okay, so whey protein can be considered a muscle builder. But at the end of the day, would you rather have, like Dave, you've got kids, they're in sports. Would you rather after a game take your kids to McDonald's, have them a burger and fries, or would you rather make them a whey protein shake with a banana, maybe a little bit of peanut butter in it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you look at the overall schematics of it.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with it, you know, like Spencer too, he talked about like how he used to sneak out, like his parents didn't want him taking dietary supplements and stuff, and like no, and he used to sneak out and go to he would be dropped off for, I forget what it was, like football practice or something, and he'd have his parents drop him off early, and he'd run like 1.5 miles to the closest source where we could buy a bottle of creatine, then he'd run back. And well, there's important supplements that they should be allowed to take, like I've never agreed with them. You know, I see too many of these younger kids jumping on. It's like, man, you're taking Gorilla Mode and that thing has 400 milligrams of caffeine. And you really don't need that. But
yeah,
but I don't know.
It's tough.
It is tough. I feel like protein, creatine, multivitamin, like everybody should be taking a multivitamin, right? Everybody.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna tell kids they can't, like that's ridiculous. So what does that mean for like those gummy vitamins that they make for kids, like the Flintstone vitamins that they can't sell those in New York now?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
about?
Vitamins, like that's directly targeted towards kids.
Yeah, and kind of not really jumping off topic with that, but like, you know, like you said, Sean, I've got 3 kids. My middle son has ADHD, and when he is on natural vitamins, you know, a B complex, a multivitamin, the way he operates and can function is night and day. And, you know, we've gone through a lot of trial and error with trying to figure out what works for him, and giving him things like simple as magnesium makes a huge difference in how he, you know, processes things, how his emotions are, and thinking about, you know, maybe not being able to, you know, I mean, obviously I can still get it for myself and, you know, give it to him, but, you know, just thinking about how much of an impact that plays, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they talk about energy drinks. There's something bouncing around, and I don't know if it's come to fruition too, that in New York, you can't buy energy drinks over 200 milligrams, but yet you can probably still go in and buy 2, what's the original? 2 Red Bulls. Red Bull's like 90. Well, buy 2 Red Bulls instead. Can't buy 1 Ghost, but you can go buy 2 Red Bulls.
Huh.
Or as many cups of coffee as you want.
Exactly. Because Starbucks can get a triple, you know, whatever. This 400 or 500 milligrams. But we can go off. We can go for the red tangent. But Dave, I've kind of manipulated a little bit. What are the questions you have for John? Or
no, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about with John. I mean, you know, like I said when we first started out here, you know, you're a very approachable guy. And I think that that's what a lot of people are really drawn to you and to your brand about. You know, you're interactive with everyone, you're honest, and, you know, you talk about everything. Like you said, with the reviews that you do, you're not just always talking about, you know, your brand, you're talking about other things that are in the market. You're doing product education, ingredient education. And I think a lot of people take a lot of great things from that and can really, you know, we're always trying to expand our own knowledge. And I think that you're a great resource for a lot of people to look at and, you know, gain some more information about what we're taking, why we're taking it, and things like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dave.
And something else you mentioned earlier that I'm going to go off on my tangent here for a minute. You use the, I'm going to say the veteran card as cherry on top. I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit. Where I think sometimes some of these companies are using it as the first marketing tactic, and half these companies have the shittiest products, but they're using the buy from me veteran. You know, so kudos to you, John, the way you kind of phrased it earlier, the cherry on the top here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So, but as we wind down, John, where can people follow you? I know we talked about your podcast, promote that, because now I'm going to follow that now.
Yeah. So we're actually gonna be recording that next. But Black Sheep Narrative, that's a podcast that I do with my buddy Nick. He owns Until Death Barbell Clothing Apparel. He owns a local gym, and we just go down rabbit holes. We talk about political things, not really focused on sports nutrition, but we just go down rabbit holes. We have a good talk. And then you can find me on TikTok, just UXO CEO there, or on Instagram. I'm not posting much on Instagram anymore. And then the website, obviously, uxosupplements.com.
And the podcast, what avenues is it on, or what platforms?
Right now, we it's a video podcast. We just mainly share it on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, Black Sheep
Perfect.
Narrative, which ironically was my call sign in the military, Black Sheep. So that's what's kind of stuck.
Cool.
Everything we do is spawned from what's military type inspiration.
Yeah.
Well, John, again, I know it's been too long. For people that are listening, John again was one of my original guests before I actually went to video.
Yeah.
As he mentioned, he did the show in a conference room. But it's good to see. I love to see the success. I mean, 10 years later, you're killing it. I appreciate our friendship again, and continued success, John.
All right. Likewise. Same to you guys. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
And everybody, thank you so
Thank you,
much for
John.
tuning in, and have a great rest of the week.
All right.